Hey folks, welcome back to the garage and to part number 3 of repainting your Corvette. And while I'm at it, I'm also converting my Coupe into a Z06 body, or what's called a fixed roof coupe, but I'm retaining the Targa top. For those of you that are just tuning in for the first time, you'll have to go back and catch the other episodes. So where we left off on this is exactly where we left off, because it has been hot as can be here. Back in part 2, last thing we were doing is we were fitting the rear top tub to the bottom of the tub. I did get that fitment done. Everything kind of goes together like a puzzle. I hung the fenders on it, the trunk, put the roof on. Everything is lining up, and I'm ready to start bonding rear tub upper section to my existing section. Now, a couple of things that go along with that. When this is put together at the factory, they use this glue, which I showed you how to get that apart. I was actually able to get it all apart in one piece, which is great because I'm going to use that. But as you can see, it's got a pretty decent thickness to it, okay? That will determine how high your fenders sit and or will not. So when I pre-fit all this, I put the glue in here to make up for that gap, and then hung the fender, so on and so forth, and made sure it was right. And since I don't have the machinery that they had at the factory to set that height, what I am doing is I'm setting all the glue in place, and I'm going through and I'm cutting pieces to make spacers. There's one right there. I've already glued a couple of these in place, so those aren't going anywhere. And that will set my gaps all the way around and ensure that when I put my fenders and everything back on the car, that my fender edge isn't sitting below my door lip, because that would be very difficult to correct. So that's how I'm doing this, is I'm using those as spacers. I still got a little bit of it to do over here. I'll show you how I'm doing that. Okay, so I've been evenly eyeballing, making the spacers, and I've been setting them about every 18 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this section. I'm going to retain a spot right here. We're going to glue that in place. That'll set the gap all around here. Then we'll move on down here. And I've just been using a big pair of metal tin snips that I've had since I used to work on aircraft. And just not the easiest stuff in the world to cut through. And sometimes you just got to score it and break it. And this one's rather difficult, you can see, because it's got that big huge bead right there, so pretty hard to cut through it. All right, so I got that piece cut, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the glue lined up where it's supposed to be, set it right there on top. And then I'm going to put a drop of super glue under there to hold that in place, and then continue on. I finished cutting all my spacers, started gluing them in place. I'm just waiting for the glue to dry, and then ready to start laying the adhesive down along this entire edge. And I'm going to lay it thick enough that it's just a little bit taller than what all the spacers are. I'll squish it down and clamp it, and that'll set its height. To bond that rear tub section, there's a product called Norton Speed Grip, and this is a structural adhesive. Got to have an application gun, and then you get these mixing tips, and if you can see on the inside of them, actually have this whole little chamber, and what it does, it's a 2-part epoxy, and it pre-mixes it in the tube for you, so that when it goes on to your surface, it's already activated, it's ready to go. So that's what we're going to be using to bond that. This stuff comes in different speeds. As you can see right there, it has the number 15. Basically, that means that is a 15-minute work time. Just as an example, here's another one. That's a 5-minute work time. And a good rule of thumb is the hotter it is outside, the longer you want it to work. Hey, go ahead and start getting this tube ready. All right, I'm gonna start getting the speed grip, put all the way around this lip tub, flip it over and get it bonded. Sure that this sits just a little bit taller than all those spacers. So I'm probably going to give this about 30-45 minutes to set up and start drying. And after that's done, I'm going to go ahead and pull the body clamps off of it. I'm going to hang the fenders once more. Just make sure everything is still aligned. So far, been going together like a kid's puzzle. I pre-fit the fenders one more time just to make sure that everything's going to line up. Lines up fantastic on this side. A little bit of a shim right there. But that's really simple to do. Not a problem at all. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set the roof on just to check the fit. I'm also going to check the gaps on both sides right around here. And you take a look at them. They have a D seal that sits in here and wraps around. You kind of bring it up to a little more modern day. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put that D seal back in this channel. And I'm going to stop it about here. We'll do a self-leveling sealant all the way up and just bring it up to kind of modern day spec. Doesn't get much more perfect than that. Everything is really fit together well. Check this out. So that just dropped right on. The only thing is it sits low right here, okay? But there is a bracket that goes right in the center. Over on this side, I took another strip of that glue out of the trash, set it under here just to set the gap, and boy, just about. Guys, I think that's gonna do it for tonight. I'm gonna continue working on this, get that glue off of there. Nothing real exciting, and we will catch you all on part 4. Make sure you smash that subscribe button, and I'll put links down below to some of the products that I'm using.